My research is modelling and forecasting pharmaceutical life cycles. It's just been published as a paper in the International Journal of Forecasting, which is a 3-star, so it's quite wide-ranging. My reason for looking at this is because A, I had the data already, and B, I'm interested in pharmaceuticals because my nan had to take a lot of prescription drugs, so I always kind of wanted to know what they were all about. Obviously this research looks at it from a business and marketing standpoint in terms of the life cycle rather than a medical standpoint. So the first thing you need to know about the research is there's 2 types of drugs. They're branded and there's generic. So a branded drug is what happens when some pharmaceutical company finds the drug, patents it, and then it's out there for 20, 25 years protected. And then obviously you have generics that are the alternative. So when the patent expires, then you have those that come onto the market and they obviously compete. So my research looks at the difference in prescribing from a GP standpoint, so how the life cycle varies on what GPs prescribe. This is obviously very important in terms of what GPs prescribe in an ever market where the NHS is ever reducing in budget, so obviously they need to save money somewhere. So obviously if a GP is prescribing too many branded drugs, then why are they doing that? Those sorts of things. We don't go into the why in this paper, just the fact that branded drugs are prescribed in terms of, and then there's a generic takeover. So the generic is obviously important as well, and we look at that afterwards. And we look at forecasting those in terms of 5 or 6 different models. So we look at it in terms of a basic naive model, moving through to exponential smoothing to complex diffusion models. The research found that actually the simpler models actually do better in forecasting the life cycles than the more complex models, which we thought was quite interesting when we did it because we weren't expecting that to happen. The research is also important for pharmaceutical companies in knowing how they can actually save money and where they should market and brand, and when they should be looking at putting more marketing effort into the drug to stop it from ultimately declining when they don't want it to, as millions of pounds are spent in obviously researching the drugs in the beginning. You need to recoup that, and often they only just manage that before the patent expires because of how competitive the drug market is. And also now you've got people that are able to get the drugs before the patent expires, and then because they tweak the generic slightly, they're then still able to produce it, undercutting the market. So my research in the end, I would like to focus more on obviously this. In terms of publishing, it's often quite difficult to publish because you expect that, oh yeah, it's really easy, you just write the paper and send it in. Obviously that's not the case. You can sometimes go through 2 or 3 rounds of revisions, which is what happened to my paper. We had to go through 1 round of revisions. They didn't like stuff. They sent it back, they didn't like a few more things, so we had to tweak them again. But the first round of revisions was the most extensive, and I actually had to include more models in the paper and do an extra level of analysis. So obviously that wasn't included in my PhD either, so that was new research on top. So we're focusing on generally the 1 paper from my PhD, and I'll be moving on to new research. So my new research is looking hopefully at the more questionnaire data in terms of wanting to get involved with GPs and find out how they prescribe. Do they know they're prescribing more branded drugs than generic? And comparing that with actual data, which is now available, to show that if they are prescribing more, why are they doing it, and having an interaction with GPs to find that information out. Also looking at more judgmental forecasting and ethics. Those sorts of areas have interested me as well, because I come from a psychology background initially, and then I moved into business from there.